Katie McGee. We are in Denver at the broadcast studio at GBTA Convention 2025. And joining me right now is Jeff LaFave, Managing Director of HQ. Jeff, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We were just talking before we started the official interview about AI.
Right.
So what role will AI play in transforming enterprise ground travel from booking to compliance to sustainability tracking? It's here to stay, isn't it?
It's here to stay. I think it's going to completely transform enterprise ground transportation. You kind of put the list there, everything from booking to compliance to sustainability, and it's already there. That's really what we do with our solution. And it's going to make the legacy approach really out of date in less than 6 months, because it's already heading that way, right? So everything from using voice to make a booking instead of typing or calling or whatever it is, doing chat-based reporting or voice-based reporting, bringing AI in to help make sure you're making the right decision based on company policy, what might be going on in the area that you need ground, all those sorts of things. The whole experience will be enhanced. The whole personalization for each and every booker and passenger is going to be enhanced. The risk management aspect will be enhanced. It's really going to be, when we sit here next year, it'll be a totally different world.
I mean, here we go, right?
Here we go,
We're
exactly.
in here.
Buckle up, 'cause here,
right?
we're on the ride.
Exactly.
Exactly.
What are the hidden costs of unmanaged or loosely managed ground travel, and how can enterprises regain that control?
Yeah. There's actually a lot of hidden costs in ground transportation, in probably 3 or 4 major areas. One is simply that typically the price you can get from a supplier is not the complete price at the time of booking. They will say it's going to be a $100 ride, but then there's going to be taxes, and there's going to be tolls, and there's going to be parking, and there's going to be airport fees, and all those things, and you end up paying $140 or whatever the number is, right? So it ends up being significantly more expensive than you thought it was when you took the trip. So there's absolutely that. There's not necessarily knowing the options that are available. You think your favorite supplier is the best option. You didn't realize there were another option or two that were 10% less or 15% less, just because the transparency wasn't there, right? So that's another big element of it. I think the third thing that we see a lot of is just in the final billing of things, there's just mistakes that are made, and you don't necessarily know that, and what that contracted rate should be, or what your negotiated rate was, whatever it is, and be able to identify and make sure you pay the right amount. But if you don't, there are costs there that are happening that you're not aware of. And I think the other cost that's there that it's really hard to factor in is but just the human element to actually manage and control all of that, right? There's real people spending real hours doing all that, and trying to automate that clearly is the answer to that. But you start to look at all those additional costs, that final ride price is a lot more than you thought it was when you made the booking. So.
These are all really good points. And with so many ground travel options across regions and vendors, how can enterprise simplify without sacrificing the flexibility or the control? Where is that sweet spot?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to AI to help with that.
Here we go.
Right, exactly. Because that I think is really the answer. So, traditionally, a client might have 2 or 3 or 4, pick the number of kind of preferred suppliers, and that was the option, right? Now you can literally bring in 10 or 15 or 20, whatever the number is, and not give this whole litany of options to that booker, because then it is too crazy, right? You're trying to give them flexibility by having options, but you made it so complicated they don't know what to choose. But you bring AI in to help narrow that down. So maybe you select from a large number of options, but you bring in policy, you bring in the personalization for that particular traveler, you bring in their preferences of who they like, you bring in the purpose of the ride, you bring in a whole set of things, and then you can say, here's the best 2 or 3 options for you to choose from. So you've allowed your employees to really be choosing from a big set. They don't know that necessarily, but the best are coming back to them, and from the company and the booker and the passenger, the best option is chosen. So,
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Keeping it simple and really honing in on what the needs are. That is fantastic.
100%.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming
Thanks for
by.
having me. I
It was a pleasure
appreciate
to
it.
talk to you.
Likewise. Thanks so much.
I will see you next year. We'll catch up again.
100%. Thanks.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. And thank you for joining us. My name is Katie McGee. We are here in Denver at the broadcast studio at GBTA Convention 2025. Thank you for watching.